Hello everybody, this is a bit of a different video. Today I'm doing a bit of a reorganization of our computer slash reading room. So technically this is supposed to be our guest bedroom, but we have prioritized books and computer games over guests. So, you know, like you do. But previously in all of my videos thus far on the channel, I had been recording over here in front of the two bookshelves that presently have books on them. So I have my two fantasy shelves over here, and then the other two bookshelves had been used for sci-fi and graphic novels mostly. And they were over on the wall over there where you can see the bat plane right now. So they used to be over there, but I wanted to have like a little bit more versatility in terms of filming as I move forward, changing the setup a little bit. So I decided to put all of these bookshelves in a row. I hadn't done that previously because our floor in the basement is actually uneven. And so we had to end up wedging things underneath them to get them to stand like relatively evenly, but it's pretty good. My parents are out of town for the weekend, so when my dad comes back, he'll probably try to fix it up a little bit and like make it look a little bit neater, but I am happy that they are all in a row, and I am now going to organize them, set them up, and hopefully have a few more options in terms of filming. For anybody who hasn't seen my original bookshelf tour video, in this room are only sci-fi, fantasy, graphic novels. So all of my other books are shelved in a set of custom bookcases that we have built into our basement when we moved into the house. So all of our kids' books, YA books, contemporary literary fiction, classics, like all that stuff is out there. And if you haven't checked it out, then you can feel free to look at that in my original bookshelf tour. But I'm going to take all of these books. Which way do I move my hand? I'm not very good in not very good with spatial awareness. So I never know which way my hand's gonna move. But I'm gonna take all of these books down and reorganize them. So hopefully that will be interesting. All right, well, all the books are off the shelves. Now it's just time to dust those ones and decide where everything is going to go. I guess technically the first thing I have to do is make a path because I'm gonna have to get in to get access to these shelves. So the comic books are still gonna go on the bottom. I don't know if we're gonna have enough for 4 shelves of comics. So maybe books where I have read like one in the series, or maybe I don't have the whole series yet, I will put at the bottom. But I also have a TBR shelf in my bedroom, so I don't have a lot of unread books down here. It's mostly just read books. So I will figure something out. But first order of business is to carve a path and then start putting the comic books back on the bottom shelves. All right, we got some Magic School Bus in the background, but things are coming along a little bit. We have comic books along the bottom, and then series that I haven't purchased all the books for, like The Wheel of Time. We've got our Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and then some like atlases, books about space. Then I put the manga on top because I felt like it was light and I could do that, and I have more that I'm gonna need to fill in. Harry Potter was on the top to begin with, so I kept it up there for now, and I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna put the Star Wars books over under the manga on this side. I'm not entirely sure, and we'll see what we're gonna do to fill in the middle, but slowly but surely it comes along. We did sneak the, is it Nightfall? Yes, Nightfall. The 3 volumes up next to the Batmobile and the Batman bust over there, but we'll see what else happens. Really bad news. So I'm like, finally things are coming together. They look the way that they should look. I'm really happy with it. And then this shelf decides to collapse. So I have no idea what I'm gonna do. We're thinking about maybe flipping it upside down to see if that will help, or I might just have to go out and buy a new shelf. But like, the sadness. No matter how many times I do this, I will never get used to this like front facing camera that I have to look at my own face, and I will never get a better angle. So I apologize in advance. But we have found a solution. So with the bookshelves that collapsed, a second one collapsed right on my shoulder. It was horrible. However, We found a solution. We did end up flipping the bookshelves upside down and reinforcing them through the bottom, which hopefully, I don't know if this is like a knot. See, I get too distracted when it's pointed at me, which hopefully will be a good solution. I have tried to not like overload the shelves that are the reinforced ones, but my fingers are crossed. Hopefully they will not fall on me one day when I'm filming a video, but I'm really happy with how they turned out. I got rid of almost all the YA books. I have one shelf of YA fantasy left in here, and that's mostly like to space keep so that when I finish reading some more of the adult fantasy upstairs, I will be able to fill those back in. Similarly, there's a lot of like front-facing books, which I really like because they look really pretty, but as I read more of the books that are upstairs on my TBR shelf, I'm sure that I will have to adjust the books that are down here. All right, doing my best to give a fully zoomed out view, but essentially we have manga, Star Wars, and science fiction on the first shelf. Then we have comic books all along the bottom, and then on the bottom, like over to the far side, on the Batmobile side, are all of the books that I like either don't own the full series yet or haven't read the full series yet. And then there's just like, you know, general adult fantasy mixed in. We kept all of Andrew's like Forgotten Realms books together. All the Stephen King is on one shelf. And then there's just a bunch of other stuff. So I will like very briefly walk through each of the shelves just to give a little update, I guess, on what is there. On the top of shelf one, we have some manga. We've got Sailor Moon. I've got Lore Olympus pointing out because it's really pretty. Then we have got just like a bunch of random ones where I don't have all of the volumes yet. So as I start, I do actually have all the Vinland Sagas. They're just all up on my TBR cart. So as I start to read those, I'm obviously going to have to reconfigure this. So this will be a dynamic bookshelf that will be changed around from time to time. And then, like I said, we've got some Star Wars books here. We've got the Darth Vader bust. We didn't have room for the Boba Fett bust, so he is gonna have to be somewhere else. Then Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. And then we've got science fiction, just like general science fiction down here. And then we've got kind of like some leftover space books and manga on the bottom. And when we go over to the second shelf, we've got the Lord of the Rings books up at the top here with the Lord of the Rings candle. And then down below, we've got retellings / books about Greek mythology. And then underneath that is the one remaining YA shelf. So these are all of my favorite YA series. And then just like a couple of YA standalones that are on the on the end there. But obviously these will go out onto the custom bookshelves with the rest of the YA once I have to fit some more adult fantasy books onto the shelf. Then down here is just kind of like a collection of various novels. I put A Marvelous Light facing outwards because I really like the cover. My kids are running around upstairs, so you can definitely hear them clunking. We've got some paperback copies of series that I really like. And why is Swords Point on one side of A Marvelous Light? I will have to fix that after this. And then we've just got comic books, the 4 Wheel of Time books that I own, the Iliad and the Odyssey, and then like a big mythology book down there at the bottom because it's so heavy that it can't go anywhere else. And then we move over. We have got the Harry Potter books where we're at the top before. Then we've got Arthurian retellings down here and some Neil Gaiman / Terry Pratchett. And I had to put this copy of Soul Music that my friend Colton gave me front facing because it's beautiful. It is also my favorite of the Death books, and it had to go next to the Death of Rats. So squeak to that. Then we've got the Dark Tower books, the Night Circus, Patrick Rothfuss, his Dark Materials, which is technically YA, but that's staying in here, Watership Down, some Robin McKinley. So those are like a lot of my favorite fantasy books. If you've ever watched my top, favorite fantasy videos, you will notice a lot of those titles. And then, oh my gosh, it's going into a squat. So then we have John Gwynne and Joe Abercrombie. We've got Robin Hobb. I will take off probably those paperback volumes of Farseer once I read the other live ship books. Then we have the giant copies of Civil War. Civil War was like the Marvel run that was happening when I attended Comic-Con. And I thought it was a great idea to buy all of those at Comic-Con, then carry them around the pavilion, back to the hotel room, and then back on the airplane. It was like one of the worst decisions that I've ever made, but it's a nice memento of Comic-Con, which was one of the best trips / like the most fun that I have ever had. And then Over on this shelf, my husband refused to put the Batmobile anywhere else, so we have an entire shelf that is taken up by the big Batmobile, and then we've got the classic Batmobile, we've got the bust, and then Nightfall, because that's his favorite Batman comic, up there. We've got a bunch of Forgotten Realms books, we've got Drizzt facing out there, then we've got some Warcraft books, and then we've got a bunch of Stephen King down here. And then on the bottom, like I said, these are all either unread. There's only a few unread, like, I'm trying to count them quickly. I feel like there's maybe like 6 unread books here. The rest are just ones where like I either don't have the full series yet or the full series is not released yet. So I will remedy that as time goes on. But obviously, most of my unread books are up on my TBR cart. That is it. I hope you enjoy this view of me perched on the treadmill. But as you can see, my Lord of the Rings picture that was up on the wall is over there in the corner, so I'm gonna have to find a place for that to go now. I don't know if I'm gonna try to put some artwork up on top of the bookshelves or not. I will figure that out at a later time, but hopefully you enjoyed this like mini update of the bookshelf. I am hopeful that this will give me a little bit more versatility in terms of how I'm going to film going forward. And it was just really fun to take them apart and reorganize them, and I'm sure that I will enjoy reorganizing them as time goes on. Whenever I need to actually clean up, I find myself reorganizing bookshelves because I feel like I'm being productive, but I can also avoid my chores at the same time. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed the shelf update, and I will see you with another video soon. Bye.